Good evening. It's 6 o'clock, so I'll declare the Ordinary Council meeting for the 26th of August 2025 open. I'll just start with the prayer of acknowledgement of traditional owners. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the peace and beauty of this area. Direct and prosper the deliberations of this council for the advancement of the city and the welfare of its people. Amen. We'd also like to acknowledge the Noongar people who are the traditional custodians of the land. And we'd like to also pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Record of apologies and leave of absence, Mr CEO.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and good evening, everybody. We have a full house this evening with elected members. We have one apology, and that is from Executive Director Nathan Watson. Would you like me to go through the disclosures, Mr Mayor?
Well, I want to signal a leave of absence for myself. And so I'd like to take leave from September the 4th through to October the 4th. Yep, go through the disclosures.
So, Mr Mayor, we will pick that up shortly, but if we can just note that there's been a number of disclosures of interest for this evening's meeting. They're displayed on the screen for everyone to read. First one being Mr Executive Director Nathan Watson. He's declaring the impartiality in report number CCS 739, and the interest is disclosed. It's also a further interest declared by myself, Mr Mayor, in relation to report number PR017, and that relates to the annual review of the CEO that is on the agenda this evening. I'll put it to you, Mr Mayor, elected members and staff. Is there any further disclosures that anyone would like to make? Mr Mayor, yes.
Councillor McLaren.
Thank you. I'd like to disclose an impartiality for the res grants because I'm a member of Pride.
Okay. Thank you. You get the paperwork for that?
Thank you. So, Mr Mayor, we will accept that that disclosure of interest, and that will be included in the minutes of the meeting. I'll just check in. Is anyone else that would like to make a disclosure? No further disclosures. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Reports of members. Councillor Leonetti.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The main thing this month was the forums we had with the candidates coming forward. I thought there was a really good show out, the two meetings that I attended with you at. Wish everybody all the best, and hopefully whoever gets in enjoys it. It's a good job. It's hard work, but it's a good job. And hopefully we get a good city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Sutton. Councillor Child.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Through over the last month, a couple of events that I've attended on behalf of the city and with you. The commemoration service for the Korean War was held at St John's Church a few Sundays ago. That's again another by the RSL, another moving event, and conducted by Karen Cave, the rector at St John's Church. So that was a nice one to go to. And also yourself and I went to a presentation at Centennial Oval by the Sport for All group. This is a new initiative within Albany as part of the old Department of Sport and Recreation. Now, what is it now? DSITS, Tourism and Sport. Sport for All actually highlights participation for all members of society, disabled and able. So it encourages clubs, societies, groups to actually encourage membership from people who wouldn't normally take up sport, who have been possibly, due to their physical or mental abilities, been put off sport. So Roger D'Souza gave a presentation there. It was well worthwhile, and I think that's an initiative that we should be looking out for and watching in future months and years. I'd just like to read a letter that I should have probably read out last month. I got a bit overwhelmed with the death of Kaylee Mansell, and I forgot it. So apologies for lateness, but it's from a very grateful and long-standing resident and ratepayer who wishes to remain anonymous, and he asked me to say, please extend my sincere appreciation and admiration to each person who was involved in the restoration of the Melville Street Heritage Open Drain so badly damaged recently. From the Mayor to Councillor Trail to the stonemasons, each would be impressed with the compassionate care and skill so ably demonstrated. With luck and wisdom and an ongoing commitment to heritage, the drain will soon be formally recognised in the city's heritage inventory. So that's from a grateful ratepayer. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Councillor Bajou.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, it's been another interesting and probably jam-packed month, but some of the highlights for me, certainly the Rising Tides exhibition. So there was a launch of that down at the museum, and that was a collaboration with landscape architect students from UWA and some contribution from the City of Albany. And it was really interesting to see from the artists who were involved with that, along with the landscape architects, the younger generation, their perception and their insights into what might be perceived for future of. Been a lot, quite often with our projects, we look at engineering solutions, we look at pedestrian linkages, but from the creatives and the artistics, it's a really, really useful and insightful way to set another dimension to some of our projects. Particularly as in the future, looking back, say 50 years from now, a road is a road, but art pieces, literature and the creatives are really what help make that point of difference. On an exciting note, I was able to attend on behalf of the City of Albany combined Princess Royal Sailing Club and I think it was the Perth Royal Sailing Club, the launch for the re-establishment of the Albany Ocean Race, which will happen in 2026. So that was a really, really great event. It was nice to see the sailing club full of people and yeah, I was going to say jibing, but I don't think that's quite the right terminology. The 17th of August, I attended the Southeast Asia Memorial Service, or otherwise the Vietnam Veterans Day, and again, co-hosted by the RSL, and another really fitting and important commemoration. The Albany Chamber of Commerce and Industry Sundowner this month was hosted by Advanced Housing, and that was again a really good opportunity to see what Advanced Housing are contributing and how we're working collaboratively with them on some of the many things that we need to do to help address the housing crisis. On the weekend, the Bayonet Head Parks Community Engagement Drop-In Centre, that was held out at Lanya Park in Bayonet Head, and there was a really good representation from city staff. I hung around for a little while and supported some of the inquiries. Managed to escape just before the hail came down and it absolutely bucketed. So yeah, thanks Albany for your 5 or 6 seasons in one day. But yeah, thanks to the city staff, because it's really good, another form of community engagement. 2 wonderful exhibitions that are on at the moment. So at the Vancouver Arts Centre, there's a really interesting and insightful exhibition, which I'd encourage you to go and have a look at. So that's exploring creativity for the prohibited culture. And it's not to do with growing marijuana plants. It's actually a little more serious than that, but yeah, I'd encourage you to participate in that one. And the Antipodean Manifesto at the Town Hall. So that's the State Art Collection. That's an exhibition that's open until the 8th of September. So that's, yeah, another really good event that I'd encourage you to attend.
Thank you. Councillor Gruner.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Councillor Trail mentioned the tragic death of Kaylee, one of our beloved community members that had 3 young children, and as usual, a couple of our community leaders decided, well, what can we do for them? Initially, we were just looking at perhaps going and cutting some firewood to get it going, but we found out that there was about 5 farmers and a couple of other businesses that had already supplied firewood. So they went to have a chat with the family, and they said that Kaylee had always wanted the very front of her property to be cleaned out and properly done. So we organised a working bee on probably the same Sunday that you were talking about, because it hailed and rained most of the day. But there was over 20 people there, and we cleaned up as much as we could: bobcats, chainsaws. We cleaned up the whole area. We put them in piles for lighting, and we've already organised for the fire brigade to go and burn them a little bit later in the year. Apparently, she wanted some of her ashes put over that area, and her husband was very keen that that area get cleaned up. So we'll be going back to do a further clean up a little bit later on. And for me, that's what community is all about. It's about caring about each other. It's about when people are going through a hard time, supporting them. I did have a good chat with Kaylee's mother, and she did mention just how much support she got from the community. I'm also very pleased. I had a look today, and there's over $140,000 being donated through the GoFundMe page for the education and support of the family and the children. So for me, that's a wonderful thing to do, and I'm very proud of my community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Bruff. Councillor McKinley. Deputy Mayor Terry.
Thank you, Matt. Like Councillor Beju, I got along to Princess Royal Sailing Club for the launch of the Fremantle to Albany race, which will be run in conjunction with the Royal Perth Yacht Club. I was involved in running of the event back in 2009 when the Sailing Club had their centenary, and it was really good few days of fun and shenanigans when all the sailors got here. So hopefully they'll get a bit of a fleet coming down around the corner. It's not easy, but April usually is fairly good. So let's hope there's fair winds for them to come around the corner. One event that I did get to during the month was Southern Aboriginal Corporation's NAIDOC Ball. That was at the entertainment centre, and it was really good to see so many people come along, and it was sold out on the first day, I think it is. And it's a really well supported event, not just Indigenous people, met lots of non-Indigenous people there, those that support the Indigenous agencies in whichever way they do. So it was a really, really good night. And I'd just like to say congratulations to Eugene Eads, who was awarded the Elder of the Year. And there are a number of other really good awards that were awarded that night. I want to give a special welcome to a young member of our community, Jodie Barras. She's the daughter of one of our staff members. She's at Little Grove Primary School, and she entered into the Australian Museum's Sleek Geeks Eureka Science Prize and got a highly commended prize. And she did a video, and you can look at it on YouTube. Coral spawning, keeping our oceans alive. It's good, just under 2-minute video. I encourage everyone to have a look at that. Along with Councillor Beju and the Mayor, got along to the Veterans Day. Beautiful day, really well attended and listened to by many, many people online. It's actually quite surprising how many people are listening to Radio 1. Oh, Radio 1? Yeah, Radio 1 online. It's good to get that telecast as well. On Sunday, got out to the Lang Park community consultation and was there when the hail did hit, but thankfully got everything under cover before it did hit, because I could see that it was coming and said we got to get everything under the shelter there. Really well attended, some really good feedback, and as Councillor Beju said, the staff that went out there engaged really, really well, and I look forward to seeing what comes out of that. One other big thing on Sunday was the Dockers winning. I wore my scarf here last night, audit and risk medic, but I thought I wouldn't wear it tonight, in deference to the Mayor. But I see Councillor McLaren's wearing her because she's a cheer squad member, so it's good to get there finally for the first time in 8 years, and let's hope they go at least 2 weeks into the finals. Couple of events coming up tomorrow night. A shout out for the Albany 2026 Community Information Session at the library. If you want to hear about what's going on for 2026, get along to that. And this weekend, the Albany Community Foundation have their big day, their big sleep out at Centennial Park Agricultural Sheds. I encourage people to get along. They raised $50,000 last year, and hope to raise a lot more than that this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cruz. Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mayor. In compiling my report for this month, I realized how many events have focused on peace, including a memorial for Vietnam veterans that I didn't manage to get to, which was held at Heritage Park. I'm very, very glad you went. I did attend the March and Rally last Sunday as part of the nationwide March for Palestine, organized by Albany for Peace. 170 people attended. We gathered at Peace Park and we marched up to York Street to the town hall. We heard several speakers at the town square. They were Rachel Comer-Rastrick, Megan Hall, John Dowse, Giz Watson, and Jan Toussaint. Earlier, on the 9th of August, there was another peace protest held at the same location, but I think the numbers are growing. It is thanks to the generous donations of the people of Albany, $2,725 was raised, and a truck carrying 4,000 liters of clean drinking water was delivered to displaced families in Gaza on Monday, and a second truck is headed out this week. It's very nice for the Albany community to support these people that are in crisis. Earlier in the month, on Hiroshima Day, our local poets held Poems for Peace at the library. I was deeply moved by their readings. We are blessed to have such wonderful writers in our region. Showcasing some of the region's best writing, the second anthology, Voices of the South, was launched also this month. I joined a panel discussion following the screenings of Coral's Last Stand at the Vancouver Arts Centre and at the Young Siding Hall, which was packed to the rafters. I emceed an environmental issues forum for potential candidates at the library. There were 13 speakers who had their say, and 5 aspiring candidates responded. I participated via Zoom in a workshop for potential candidates across the state who are interested in making a difference for your community and the environment. I attended, along with Deputy Mayor, the Walga Zone meeting in Ravensthorpe. I had a nice tour of the herbarium, took time to take photos of the wildflowers, and hike in the Fitzgerald National Park. I peered out from Caves Point looking for the southern right whales because I'm learning to be a right whale tracker, which is not easy to say. The Right Whale Tracker project has about 30 citizen scientists in it. 20 of them spent 150 hours completing 93 surveys over 3 months between Denmark and Hopeton, adding incredibly to the science around these very rare animals. I also attended Rising Tides. Thank you for giving a report on that, and had a drink with Ken Court at the Yacht Club. You got to do it all in this job. And I attended the Curatorial for Science Week, which featured the South Coast NRM. Very interesting to hear from Luke Bailey and learn more about natural resource accounting. And finally, coming up next week, the launch of the Soroptimus Women's Hall of Fame will be on Tuesday at the Town Hall. I hope you all get along to that. And also, I'll be hosting a weed management forum here at the Civic Rooms, along with some community members and the reserves team.
Thank you. We'll move on to public question time. Mr. CEO, you've got something you want to say?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just in relation to our budget that was just adopted for the financial year 25-26, our rate notices now have been issued. I just wanted to make a statement, if I could, and read that into the minutes of the meeting. And this relates to our UV rating, which predominantly covers the farming district. If you can just give me a moment, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make this statement. So whilst unimproved values, UV, incurred a 9.95% increase in rate revenue for the 25-26 annual budget, this was not equally shared between UV minimum and UV non-minimum ratepayers. As a result, minimum UV properties did not contribute the full increase, whilst non-minimum UV properties shouldered more of the rise. We acknowledge this could have been explained more clearly, and we will review the UV minimum rate setting as part of the 2026-2027 budget process. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to public question time. Most people that are here to talk tonight know the drill. Traffic light system. 4 minutes, 3.5 minutes, the amber light goes on. At 4 minutes, the red light goes on, and that will conclude your presentation. We have a number of speakers, and our preference is to go with those people first who are addressing an item on the agenda tonight. So the rules are pretty clear about how we expect you to make that presentation. Please make sure that you're respectful in doing so. First person is Don Phillips. Just turn the mic on, please, Don.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, elected members, staff. I'd like to speak on item 446. Is there a current valid environmental clearance certificate as per the Contaminated Sites Act?
We'll go to Jan van der Mesch for that.
So, in relation to that site, some potential contamination has been identified by two departments. There's a recommendation that prior to any development there, that they go through the full process of doing an environmental contamination assessment and doing any remediation works.
Thank you,
and
Mr
get a
Van der Mesch.
certificate.
I believe the correct protocol is to get an environmental clearance before a matter is considered. Is that not so? This council is considering this a substantial site, and there's no clearance regarding the environmental matter, Contaminated Sites Act 2004. Perhaps it would be prudent to lay the matter on the table until that certificate is there, proving that the site is not contaminated. You're deliberating on it tonight. There's no test wells. There is nothing. The liability regarding the approval process, anyone down there, who's going to wear the liability? I gave council a thorough collection of information and photographs. The blue asbestos is in the harbour, all through that site some years ago. You have the information. You've had it for years. You're deliberating on this evening, and no one here can tell me that they don't know if there's a valid environmental certificate.
Okay. I'll answer it this way. We moved that assessment or that application onto the WAPC, well aware that there was not enough of the relevant environmental protections and other water management, etc., and that would be considered as part of the WAPC consideration. WAPC are asking us to consider the matter tonight.
Yeah.
And those requirements still remain outstanding, and they will be ordered by the WAPC. So it won't go ahead without those considerations.
Okay. Thank you, Mr Mayor. With respect, the old gasworks site went through the same process, and you know what happened to that? The state government fortunately paid the $8 million to remediate that site all those years ago. You've got the lead burning of the superworks, you've got the old town of Albany tip, the plume that goes under there, the blue asbestos is still there. How many councillors here have done a site visit, including yourself? Have you done a site visit? Go down and have a look.
I certainly have.
Yeah, if you go down and have a look, the asbestos, the photos that I submitted, very, very thorough, still there. Now, the other question, just to follow up on it, the reserves that are part of this application to rezone, who owns those reserves? Are they being gifted to the proponent?
Which reserve are you referring to?
The reserves that are on the application, the old Wool Stores road that was illegally gutted for years. The late Len Abbott and I made countless submissions where a gazetted road could be illegally barred access, and this council did its usual, nothing. Now, who's getting those reserves, Mr Mayor? They belong to the people of Albany.
You want to answer that?
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. So the reserves are being zoned future urban, but in the structure plan, new reserves are shown for where roads are going to go.
So the reserves are being rezoned, the portion of Wool Store site, who's getting that?
It will all be guided by the structure plan that has been submitted.
Okay, well, hopefully tonight the matter might be laid on the table so you get environmental controls. The toxic blue asbestos is still there. It's not gone away. The stuff that's under there, put some test wells in, as per the Contaminated Sites Act 2004. Anyone can nominate that as a contaminated site. You don't even want to go there. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Hannah Halls.
Good evening, councillors. We're taking time to address the council this evening. I'm speaking on behalf of Albany Pride. In response to the comments raised recently in opposition to our application for RES funding for our 10th annual Albany Pride Festival in 2026. Whilst we know that these views are not representative of the values of most people in Albany, we believe it's important to answer them by making clear the basis of our application for these funds and the outcomes that we strive for. We'd like to acknowledge and express our gratitude for the panel decision to recommend the granting of this funding and the council for supporting that recommendation so far. We know we stand alongside many fantastic community groups and organisations in applying for this grant. It's wonderful to see the city supporting a diverse and vibrant cultural program for Albany. The happy coincidence of this aligning with Albany 2026 gives us a great opportunity to participate in this even bigger historical milestone for the city and surrounds. As you all know, we're a volunteer-run, not-for-profit organisation, and this funding will assist greatly in the successful running of our festival in this milestone year. We're so very excited to be celebrating this huge achievement in this beautiful place that we love. In making our application for this grant, we, of course, like all successful applicants, were required to meet the funding criteria and therefore contribute to the strategic priority of prosperity for Albany. Through our reputation built up over 10 years, our ongoing marketing efforts and gathering participant responses after previous festivals, we can confidently say that the festival increases visitor numbers and expenditure with local businesses, with hundreds of attendees travelling from other parts of WA specifically to attend our festival events. Our marketing and media management for the festival help us to promote Albany as a great place to visit and live. Survey engagement confirms this regularly, with many out-of-town visitors discovering more of the great reasons to return to Albany and surrounds for visits in the future. We receive feedback regularly about the positive contribution our events make to the social experience for residents in Albany. This feedback comes from members of the LGBTQ IAQ+ community, but also from community members more broadly, who feel glad to see that this is a community with a rich, varied and dynamic cultural life. No events will meet the interests of all community members at once, but a diverse range of offerings contributes to a sense of livability for all. As we approach our 10th festival, we remain amongst the most popular and well-known regional pride celebrations in WA. We can strongly demonstrate ongoing community engagement and sustainability. And while we plan for each year's event, we also map out our future. We work to increase engagement with local businesses to deepen the benefits of the festival for them, with multiple programs within our event programming. We strive through our programming to not only create celebratory events aimed at LGBTIAQ+ community members, but also to engage broadly with all Albany residents who would like to celebrate with us, their family members and their friends. And our sports programming continues to develop engagement with local sporting organisations through demonstration rounds, have-a-go sessions in partnership with visiting and local sports groups, and activation of local parks and facilities such as walking and beach swimming events. Another important part of our festival every year is to attract services and education sessions offered to community groups, organisations and businesses to help them engage with efforts to reduce stigma and increase accessibility for their LGBTIAQ+ customers, clients and staff. And finally, in some ways most importantly, partnering in this way with the City of Albany strengthens the central pillar of the work that we pursue as an organisation. Albany Pride works hard to decrease discrimination within the community against members of the LGBTIAQ+ community. Visible support of these efforts... Oh, sorry. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Rebecca Stevens.
Hello, Mayor and Councillors. I'm here representing the Albany Surf Life Saving Club, and I'd like to acknowledge the former president, who's also with me, Sarah Bowles, who's also one of our directors. On behalf of the Albany Surf Life Saving Club, I'd like to encourage all councillors to support the committee's recommendation for item CCS 739. Our club has the privilege of hosting the 2026 Surf Life Saving WA Country Championships and Country Carnival at Binlup Middleton Beach over the Australia Day long weekend. This is one of the largest events on the state's Surf Life Saving calendar. Albany last hosted the carnival in 2017, and I have fond memories as a nipper competing back in 2004. In 2026, we expect more than 1,000 competitors, along with families, officials and supporters, bringing over 4,000 people to Albany. For many of our nippers, this will be the first time that they've had the chance to compete in a state event on home sand. Beyond the surf competition, we're also hosting 2 community events open to all, a community outdoor movie night and the inaugural WA Bicentenary Swim on Australia Day. It's truly an integrational carnival with athletes ranging from 7-year-old nippers to seniors and masters. The benefit to Albany are significant. A direct boost to our local economy through accommodation, hospitality and tourism, statewide media coverage promoting Albany as WA's most vibrant regional city, strong community involvement with volunteers, local business and cultural connections. Most importantly, the event reflects what makes Albany unique. Our proud volunteer spirit, our spectacular coastline and community that comes together to celebrate milestones like the Bicentenary. To deliver this event at the scale that it actually deserves, we are seeking the committee's recommendation of funding for $10,000. Your support will help us create an unforgettable event for the community, showcase Albany to visitors across the state and celebrate the Bicentenary with pride and impact. I urge all councillors to support the committee's recommendation of all of the events on the committee's recommendation. It's a fantastic mix of events and film that truly supports the funding criteria, which involves and inspires the local community, and I urge you all to support the full committee recommendations. Thank you.
Michelle Kinsella.
Hello, Michelle Kinsella from McHale. I'd like to speak in regards to conflicts of interest and regards to a councillor sitting on the Regional Events and Film Sponsorship Committee approving funding of the community group that she is a member of. The conflict of interest has now been declared. Thank you. My question on the record, and I'm happy to have an answer on notice, is this the first time a conflict has been declared, despite the councillor being a member of the community group for many years? I note the councillor in question voted on the 12th of the 8th for funding to be approved for her community group. Question 2, has the councillor approved previous funding or been part of discussions without declaring a conflict? Under the Local Government Act 1995, Division 6, Subdivision 1, Section 5.6A, 5.60B, 5.61 and 5.62, it is imperative that conflicts of interest are declared in a timely manner, and I suggest in terms of transparency and accountability, councillors declare their conflicts. I look forward to your answer on notice.
Thank you. I can answer that. Unless you're an executive member of any community group, you are not necessarily required to declare an interest, but if you a financial interest, and it is up to the individual to decide whether or not they wish to declare an impartiality. The other components of the question we'll take on notice and do so. Okay. We're now with those people who want to address council not related to matters on the agenda. Glenys Kelly.
Mr Mayor, councillors, I live in Centennial Park. I heard with amazement the announcement that Albany is booming. The population may be, but it's a fact that other areas are and continue to crumble. Whoever wrote that piece of spin hasn't taken a walk down York Street or through either of the main shopping malls. Whilst I don't doubt that the supermarkets and hardware stores are benefiting from extended trading hours, it has done exactly nothing to stop the rapid decline in those areas, with empty frontages displaying for lease signs, some of which have been empty for over a decade, which is absolutely unacceptable. This is what visitors see when they come to Albany. A genteel but shabby old lady with teeth missing and wearing tacky clothes, which in this case is almost entirely due to poor maintenance, outrageous rental costs, and lack of foresight and planning. I refer specifically to the old Commonwealth Bank building and former Bank West building. Why can the owners of those buildings not be held to account for the crumbling and missing timber facades, graffiti and broken windows? Or are the residents of the city just expected to accept the degradation as part of the course? Surely these both constitute a public safety hazard. So for the third time in 3 months, I ask, just what precisely is the City of Albany doing to turn this disgraceful and totally unacceptable state of affairs around? How much of the lauded $101 million budget has been allocated for this purpose? And a final thought. Disgruntled residents will be voting in local government elections in less than 2 months' time. I'm far from being alone in voicing my frustration at the lack of progress being made and refusal to acknowledge and act upon residents' genuine anger. Thank you.
Well, we'll respond to that. As you're aware, you were given an email that responded to some of those questions, Mrs. Kelly. You have spoken to the Manager of Economic Development on the 27th of June this year, and we are taking some steps to revitalise and activate the CBD, and that is that we are going to enter into a 3-year partnership with the Albany Chamber of Commerce and Industry to try and do our best to do something in York Street and Stirling Terrace. However, I will say that this issue, as is the issue of housing, not a problem that belongs just in Albany. If you go to any regional city, or even for that matter, any suburb in Perth, you'll see the same sort of issues occurring. What I will say is that in terms of tourism, if you wanted us to dig down into an $80 million operational budget and what we're doing in that respect, it's impossible and impossibly time consuming to delve into every dollar that we're doing and where we spend it, because every business and everyone is in tourism in various activities and whatever we're doing. But in 2026, we have 23 large-scale events, which the city's invested heavily in and coordinated. We've managed to get $12.5 million out of Lotteries West and the state government for 7 large 2026 events. So our effort next year in terms of tourism will be very large and fully committed. And obviously, the other problem that we have in terms of our airline and the council's commitment to a long-term project. 12 months ago, we had no money for the upgrade of our runway, and a perplexing problem with Rex administration in administration. We now have $28.6 million committed from the state and federal governments. We have money in reserve to make sure that we don't end up with a dilapidated runway, and in the summer of 26-27, I expect that we'll have designed an airport that can take a 100-seat airplane, and then we'll go on to build that. So we're not sitting in our laurels, but this is not a problem unique to Albany. And if you go to Gelton or Bunbury or any other major regional centre, Kalgoorlie, they're all looking very much the same. And for those people who don't like that, perhaps they should think about the next time they shop online or and go and buy something from Temu instead of going to a local producer. That might not happen, but that is the pattern that's happened at big box retail heading to Chester Pass Road. That is not necessarily the remit of local government, but we do understand that we need to be looking after our small businesses. So we'll do what we can. And if I had any opportunity to do something about the CBA building in the 14 years that I've been here, we would have. We have tried to do that. We've actually tried to buy the building at one point so that we could do something with it, to no effect. So a private property owner, you can't force people to do things, and probably the best thing that we could think about is perhaps a dereliction notice, but it is a private property. We can't do much about it. We've tried our best to do something with that, and you'll see the amazing Albany decals that are on that building. Now he won't let us clean them up. So, you know, we're doing our best, and for a while we had that building looking quite good. But we are now at a position where the owner of the CBA doesn't want us near the place. That's his choice. Thank you. Pippa mentioned.
Thank you. Pippa mentioned Rose Gardens, Emu Point. Mayor and councillors, the ongoing situation there. It seems the consensus of relocators for the park homes is that the park would have to be closed if there were any chance of getting anything out. Their trucks are too big to get in, and numerous trees would require cutting down by redwood to get houses out. The positioning of the homes means using cranes to lift them up, and the trucks are too big to position properly, according to the relocators. Hence, the situation is going to be impossible, and people are going to have to abandon their homes. This should all have been properly assessed by Redwood Council and the RAC right in the beginning to determine the movability of places and to not leave us all in such a predicament. All these homes and assets will be demolished by the RAC with no regard for the homeless and the current housing crisis in Australia. It seems where there is money to be made, there is no social conscience. The clauses on Redwood's notice of termination should have been addressed by council as being completely unreasonable and untenable. This is a sad indictment on all the people involved who have allowed this situation to impact so heavily on people's lives and well-being, and is not the outcome we hoped for. Thank you.
Yeah, I will respond to that. I think you know very well that council has made every effort, and we don't enjoy the predicament that you're in, and we're surprised with some of the clauses that Redwood have included in your termination notice. I notice you don't recognise that we have worked very hard with Panorama Caravan Park to make sure that there is somewhere to go, and we've had a lengthy meeting with Panorama owner. There are 9 places to go, and the undertaking from that owner is that once he receives the bushfire assessment, he will design his park, and he has prioritised the residents of Rose Gardens Caravan Park. He says he wants you there, and he has sectioned those off for those people who can move. And if there's more than 9, he will make some compensation and provide for that within the park itself. We have worked extensively with Redwood and the RAC, and we continue to do so. So I reject the assertion that we're leaving you in the lurch. We're doing everything we possibly humanly can as an organisation to make sure that you're looked after. 2 of the people that I went to a Lionsville meeting myself personally, and there are 2 people that now have a place to go as a result of me attending that meeting. So council, I absolutely reject the notion that we are leaving you in the lurch. We'll continue to advocate for you. We will continue to do what we can possibly do. And the CEO may want to make a comment as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I support those comments. I think Ms. Minchin, I did respond to your email, and I think I have had some positive feedback from RAC, and I won't go into the details of that, but it is a positive outcome, and it's working towards a cooperative approach. And I would encourage the residents that are impacted and looking to relocate to Panorama that those conversations continue. The city has advocated strongly on your behalf to ensure that you can enter into sufficient agreements that would allow people to relocate, and picking up on the comments that we have made before, I think we'll continue to advocate for you. The Panorama Caravan Park has been very cooperative in that approach, and we're happy to keep those conversations open with you. So thank you very much.
And I'll close my comment with, there are no councillors here that want to see you in distress, and we will do everything and continue to work with you to make sure you get a decent outcome. Reg Haulings.
Reg Hauling, Rose Garden Caravan Park. I just listened to Pip talk about what the council are doing, but it's not happening. I have been out to that Panorama Caravan Park numerous times, and he's still waiting. He cannot do anything until he gets this fire plan and all that sort of stuff in place. And that could take months and months and months. And we're on a time limit of 20th of February 26, we've got to be out. And from December to February is holiday time. Like, hello, how the hell are you going to move a house out in that time? Plus, we have been told by professionals that these houses cannot be moved unless there's a lot of trees to come down, because there's no access. Now, come on. Let's show a bit of common sense, and also the censorship of the last council meeting. Why did Steve Grimmer's comments be censored? Why were they? And the recommendation is, I will leave my bloody house where it is. Just give me the compensation, because my contract says I am there until 2041. And apparently it's not worth the paper it's written on, but come on. Show a bit of something. Thank you.
I'm not actually sure what we're talking about in terms of Councillor Grimmer's being censored, but Councillor Grimmer's comments are available online.
If you listen to a previous council meeting, the section where Stephen talks is completely cut out.
Not sure why. Not intentional. Mr. Hauling, our advice in terms of the bushfire management plan is that Panorama Caravan Park are expecting that imminently, potentially tomorrow. So, tomorrow. Well, within a week, but that we were told probably tomorrow, but we'll find out. We'll see at the end of the week.
Yeah.
Susan Mortimer.
Good evening. My name is Susan Mortimer. My house is on Mount Clarence. I'm an introvert, so if my voice is shaky, it's because I'm way out of my comfort zone right now. I'm here tonight to express my gratitude to the Albany City Council for a decision you made last year. I'm sorry I didn't speak up at the time, but I want to express my gratitude now. I just need to give a little background. My parents moved to Albany from Geraldton in '92 when my father became the local magistrate. My husband and I settled here in 2003. He's an accountant and I'm a disability support worker. We love Albany. In 2010, I began practicing Falun Gong, which is a spiritual discipline involving self-improvement through the study of teachings rooted in ancient Buddhist tradition. It also has gentle exercises and meditation. The teachings of Falun Gong encourage us to let go of unhealthy attachments and strive to live by the principles of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. This practice transformed my life. For 15 years after the tragic death of my sister in a car accident, I lived with a deep grief that strained my family and my spirit. Through Falun Gong, I found a new perspective, gradually letting go of that pain and gaining peace and acceptance. Falun Gong has made me a better person, and that has brought harmony to my family. That's why your decision to end Albany's sister city relationship with Linyi, China meant so much to me. Despite its peaceful nature, Falun Gong is vilified and brutally persecuted by the Chinese Communist Party. I am aware that your decision wasn't about Falun Gong specifically, but I'm grateful nonetheless. Albany is, to my knowledge, the only council in Australia to have taken such an action so far. I'm convinced that other councils will soon follow the example you have set, but you led the way. And members of the Falun Gong community nationwide have noticed and deeply appreciate your courage. It's worth mentioning that it's possible that some members of this council might have been contacted by the Chinese consulate or other Chinese agents at the time the sister city arrangement was cancelled. And in light of ever-increasing transnational repression, the Australian Federal Police and the Department of Home Affairs have reached out to the Falun Gong community and encouraged us to report any suspicious activity or harassment. So if any of you experienced anything, I strongly urge you to reach out to the Department of Home Affairs and report it. I have a dear friend who was imprisoned in China for practicing Falun Gong, and while in prison he endured unspeakable torture and was also subjected to forced labour. He spent 2 years making Christmas lights for export to Western countries, and yet he was one of the lucky ones that weren't subject to even more heinous crimes such as forced organ harvesting. He and his wife managed to flee to Western Australia and now live in Perth. So once again, thank you for your principled decision to sever your sister city ties with the Chinese Communist Party. I believe it was both courageous and morally right, and it has not gone unnoticed. Thank you.
Concludes public question time. Thank you. You can stay for the meeting, but you can't participate in debate. Applications for leave of absence. I'll put one out there for September the 4th to October the 4th, please. Can I have someone move? Thank you, Councillor McKinley. A seconder, Councillor Sutton. Councillor McKinley. Councillor Sutton. Anyone wish to speak against? No, put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 11-0.
Are there any other applications for leave of absence? No. Okay, there are no petitions and no deputations. There's a draft motion there for confirmation of minutes, and that is the minutes of the Ordinary Council meeting held on Tuesday, 1st of July 2025, as previously distributed, be confirmed as a true and accurate record of proceedings. Yes?
That date's not right. That should probably be 4 weeks after that, 29 July.
Correct. Yep, that's right. Can we just amend that, please? Well picked up.
The June council meeting was on the 1st. On June, that's right. Yeah. The June OCM.
Yeah, but this is July. Are we doing both of them?
Yeah, the July was 22nd.
I think that's just read 22nd of July. Happy with that? Thank you. All right. Let's try again. The minutes of the Ordinary Council meeting held on Tuesday, the 22nd of July 2025, as previously distributed, be confirmed as a true and accurate record of proceedings. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Terry. Councillor Trail. Deputy Mayor Terry. Councillor Trail. Anyone speaking against? If not, put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 11-0.
Presentations, there are none. Unresolved business from previous meetings, there are none. We'll move on to reports. CCS 733, the monthly financial report. The committee recommendation is that the monthly financial report for the period ending 30th of June 2025 be received. Someone to move? Councillor Grimmer, Deputy Mayor Terry. Councillor Grimmer, Deputy Mayor Terry. Anyone speaking against? No, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 11-0.
CCS 734, list of accounts for payment. The committee recommendation is that the list of accounts for payment under delegated authority to the Chief Executive Officer for the period ending 30th of June 2025, totalling $15,158,522.76, be received. Councillor Sutton. Councillor Trail. Councillor Sutton. Councillor Trail. Anyone wish to speak against? No, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 11-0.
Oh, I was waiting. CCS 735, delegated authority reports. Committee recommendation is that delegated authority report 16th of June 25 to 15th of July 25 be received. Someone to move that. Councillor Cruz. Councillor Baiju. Councillor Cruz. Councillor Baiju. Anyone speaking against? No, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 11-0.
CCS 736, write-off rates debt report as of 30th of June 2025. The recommendation is that the rates debt write-off report as at the 30th of June 2025 be received. Someone to move that. Councillor Baiju. Councillor Bruff. Councillor Baiju. Councillor Bruff. Anyone speaking against? No. We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 11-0.
CCS 738, Albany Bike Plan 2025 to 2030. The recommendation is that the City of Albany Bike Plan 2025-2030 be adopted. Someone to move? Deputy Mayor Terry. Surprise, surprise. Councillor Baiju. Deputy Mayor Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, as I said at the committee meeting, great to see this finally come to us. It was the cycling city strategy, which was adopted back in 2014 and whenever it was refreshed, and it was due for an update probably about 2 years ago. But we had the Great Southern Cycling Strategy take precedence, and that was put through last year. So this is off the back of that, hanging off the back of that. And the really important parts noted in paragraph 13 of the report about the 4 key focus areas in the bike plan. That is infrastructure, so developing safe, connected and inclusive cycling routes, facilities and crossing points. Activation, consultation and engagement, so initiatives to increase awareness, skills and motivation to ride. Policy and planning, to ensure cycling is embedded within city policies and planning frameworks. And one of the most important, advocacy, working with partners and stakeholders to attract funding and policy support. And I mentioned this at CCS because we have been really, really successful in getting grants for the WA Bicycle Network. And I'll just repeat it again. When we finish that link from the top of Grey Street down to the ring road, we will be able to ride a boat, bike, scooter, gopher, e-rideable, whatever, from Lower King Store all the way through to Little Grove Store on cycleway, shared path, cycle lane, whatever. And in the budget that we passed last month, there will be a link all the way from Albany Highway, all the way through to Chester Pass Road and down to the shopping centre. And that's all funded through WA Bicycle Network, and we only put in 50%. And the other thing that I pointed out that's in the bike plan is that if we get it all funded, we won't just be able to go from Lower King to Little Grove. We'll be able to go from Carlton Bridge or Grammar all the way through to Frenchman Bay to the whaling station and back again if we get all the stuff done in that plan. So, it's really, really important. It's really great that we're doing this and committing to doing it, and I urge everyone to support. Thank you.
Councillor Baju? No, except that sounds like a long way on a bike. There's a road there. Anyone want to speak against? No? We'll put that to the vote then. All those in favour?
Carried 11-0.
Mr CEO?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just an announcement to note that Councillor McLaren has declared an impartiality interest in report 739 and will remain in the chamber and vote on the item. Thank you.
Regional events and film sponsorship. The committee recommendation is that council approve the regional events and film sponsorship assessment panel recommendations as outlined in paragraph 74, table 1 of this report. And secondly, amend the 2025-26 budget to increase the budget for WO 6.6511.1802 regional event sponsorship from 160,000 to 172,500, and increase the budget for WO.1157.1211, that's the ALEX swim school income, from 690,000 to 702,500. Someone to move that. Councillor Sutton, second it. Councillor Trail. Councillor Sutton.
Look, thank you, Mayor. Look, I'd just like to echo the former member for Albany, Rebecca Stevens' comment on this earlier. She said we've got a great mix of different programs, and I think we have. I think it's an important part of our whole economic development as a city. I think we're trying to follow Busselton to a degree. We're too far away from the city to really have meaningful industrial businesses down here, the tyranny of distance. So this brings a lot of people to the town. I think we've got to keep in mind what we're voting on tonight. Mayor, we're voting on the application. We're not voting on anything else. Now, I'll use a term that ex-councillor Sarah Bowles used to use with me all the time. She said, if we get the process right, the item will take care of itself and we'll get the result that's deserved. And in this, we have had the process right. I was fortunate enough to sit on, not this one, but the previous two, and a couple before that a few years ago. It's an exhaustive process. We don't see much here. We see the reports, but the senior staff do a lot of work assessing the eligibility, that they meet the criteria. Then they get invited to make a submission, in person or online, but invariably in person. And we can only judge it on that. Now, there's a few groups that have been successful on successive events. And if we look at the acquittal process, if they don't finalise the acquittal within 6 weeks, then they're not eligible for any further funding from the council. So this process that Sarah used to talk about is fantastic. What we can't do is judge any of the applicants on anything else except this process. I urge all councillors to support this. We've got a good mix, and let's get it moving. Let's be fair and honest to everyone.
Councillor Char.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just like to echo some of what Councillor Sutton has said. I have been a member of this panel for at least 2 years, maybe 3, and look, it's exhaustive, but also a bit exhausting. With the number of applications that we got for this period, it's the first 6 months of 2026. So we were expecting many applications from many groups to, of course, highlight 2026. So we did exceed the budget, and that's the reason for part 2 of the recommendation. But luckily our staff, who put an awful lot of work into that, and just this file here is the part of the applications, probably 150 to 200 pages of applications that we have to read. And they go through those, they make recommendations to us. We don't always agree with them. In one case, the recommendation, I think, was not to fund a particular project. We looked at it more closely, realised that it actually fitted the criteria, and reversed that decision, which probably led us to actually overspending a bit anyway. But we've come up with a solution. to actually include pretty well all of the applications, with a couple of exceptions. So it's a level playing field, as Councillor Sutton has said. We follow the rules. We're basing this on the number of visitors it brings to Albany, the economic advantage it brings to us, and nothing else. I will note, actually, Mr. Mayor, that the committee did recommend, and it's in paragraph 20 of the report, that the panel actually suggested that we broaden the criteria for future funding rounds to include consideration of social and cultural connection and livability. So for some projects that may not bring an awful lot of visitors to Albany, they still possibly should have some sort of say, and we should actually consider those as well. And there are increasing numbers of those types of projects from all walks of our community, and that's the whole thing. It's an equal opportunity scheme, and we've included film recently, and film brings tremendous exposure to Albany. We've got a couple of film type projects in there. Adam Morris is a regular successful applicant. His reach is amazing, and his ability to produce virtually one feature film a year just continues to astound the committee. He's a multi-talent. He brings a lot of work into Albany. He's got connections now internationally with an international distributor. How was that for somebody who started 3 or 4 years ago with a little project who thought and he thought he might be able to make a film? So that's actually the benefit of this scheme. It's great to actually see those projects grow and develop, and in time we won't need to fund him again. He's got that funding now. He's got that basis. He's got this international distribution network that he can actually tap into, and he'll continue to work in Albany. He'll bring people here. So that's just one example. Go from there to perhaps the Badminton Association, a group that we had some doubts about, a very small group but growing, and wanting to actually run a tournament for 2026. We haven't given them all they asked for. We've given them, we hope, enough, and we've given them support in access to the leisure centre. There's an example of a group that will probably grow, and a growing sport. So I'm really impressed and thankful for the committee that I was a part of. It took us a couple of days to get through everything, but from all those points of view, I reckon it's a great scheme, and I'm very grateful to be part of Albany and part of a community that actually has this scheme available to all of our community. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Wish to speak against? Councillor McKinley?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just a couple of points about the ones that missed out on this grant. One of them was Ace Canberra Club, an empowering community project supporting inclusiveness and skill development for people living with disability. So they put in a request for 20,000 and received nil. I know I've been a part of panels and it's very hard, but these are the ones where they're missing out. So my wife works as a disability care worker, and she has often mentioned what a great job Ace Canberra Club do for the community and the disability community. So they're the ones that missed out. So there's another one here at the end, number 9. WA Performing Arts Collection, A Tree We Grew, based on the original ballet set in Australian World War II, including former principal WA ballet dancers. 2 performances were held at the AEC. Local Anzac heroes will be honoured. So that's another one that's missed out and also getting nil. It comes down a lot to what grant application. There's some community groups are very skilled at writing grant applications. I've brought this up over past applications similar, and I don't think everyone's getting a fair slice of the pie. I think it's getting too few who can write a damn good grant application. That's the problem. I'll give you an example. Albany Pride put an application for 20,000 and received 20,000. They also received 6,000 for the 2026 community sponsorship. That was for a dinner or a lunch, and they're also receiving this. They've also mentioned lunch in there as well, or a dinner. So there seems to be a lot of food going on with which the community and ratepayers are paying for. So all I ask is we re-examine where we're spending the money and we put it to the community groups that need the assistance the most, because it seems to be a repeat of the same ones keep coming up all the time. So I will be not supporting this motion, and I would hopefully request we have some alterations with the grant funding process for this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak for the motion? Councillor Baiju?
Thank you. Just a few things to add. Being on a selection panel is hard, and when you've got limited income or limited funds to go around, making those decisions is very tricky, and that's exactly why we have the criteria and the panels and the invitations there for community groups to submit applications. And yeah, writing an application is tough, but when we're spending ratepayers' money, we need to be confident. The process has been followed. We have got a really interesting range. The events that are being supported include the Speedway Showdown, a tarmac sprint, a film, a documentary, there's a festival, the Surf Lifesaving Country Carnival. There's a range of interests, and they're diverse and exciting, informative, entertaining. The criteria are clear. There is the opportunity, and it's suggested that we review and broaden the criteria to be more inclusive of cultural and community. And one of the events clashed badly with an event, so it's been suggested that it be reconsidered if the date were to be changed. So I just think that everything that's been recommended by through the committee and the panel is worth supporting, and I'm fully in support of this, and I encourage councillors to vote in favour of the motion that's before us.
Thank you. Speaker against? If not, Councillor Sutton, you have right to reply.
Thank you, Mayor. That's a bit easier than I thought, actually. Look, it's a great, diverse program. Everyone gets their say, and I do take on board Councillor McKinley. You've got to have a criteria for the event funding, Mayor. So they're encouraged, and I know that there's help to write grants from the staff, and there's lots of different areas of the grants available. So they've just got to pair up with what they're looking for. But this is a fairly big ticket item, and it means fairly big ticket for Albany and the greater community, the greater area. Such a diverse range of activities. It brings people to the town, and not just for a few days, and particularly with the Pride Festival. I sat on last year's application, and I was surprised what they bring to town and how many people they bring to town and for how long. Really surprised. So I think they've been up against it a little bit at times, some of the criticism, which has been taken out of context for the application. So look, I'd urge all councillors to support this. And Sarah, thanks for that advice. Get the process right, and the result will take care of itself. So let's see if that's correct. Thank you.
Thank you. That closes debate, and we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against?
Carried 8-3. Against, Councillor Leonetti, Councillor Brough and Councillor McKinley.
CCS 740, Communications and Engagement Strategy. The recommendation is that the City of Albany Communications and Engagement Strategy Progress Report for Q2 of 2025 and its endorsement by the Communications and Engagement Advisory Group be noted. Someone to move that. Councillor Grimmer. Seconder. Councillor Baiju. Councillor Grimmer.
Yeah, just very quickly, Mayor, being a member of this advisory group has been something that I've really enjoyed. I think we're getting a much better guidance on the way that we should engage on some of the major projects. I take on board what Councillor McLaren said at the committee meeting, that we do need to look at everything that we're doing and try and bring it through that committee, because that committee has a diverse range of people with experiences, and some of the comments and suggestions that came out of the last meeting, I could not have possibly thought of them. And I think that the staff members that brought those items along got a lot out of it. So I really do think this is a committee that is very important, because there is nothing more important than a council can do than engage with the community. So I think that it's very important this advisory work group continues to work and to grow. And I'm very happy with the way it's progressing. And I urge all councillors to support it. Thank you.
Councillor Baiju? Anyone speaking against? No, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 11-0.
CCS 741, caretaker period policy. You will notice in the item that there is an addendum that refers to a question at committee raised by, I think, Councillor McLaren, just to include the role of the CEO under legislative and strategic context. Does that satisfy you? Okay. So the recommendation is that Council rescind the previous version of the caretaker period policy. Secondly, adopt the updated caretaker period policy as attached. And thirdly, note that the updated policy will apply during the 2025 local government elections from 4 p.m. on Thursday, 4th of September 2025 until the declaration of results. Someone to move that. Councillor McLaren. Councillor Bruff. Councillor McLaren.
Oh, thanks, Chair. I just would like to, this is something that happens periodically because we go to elections periodically, and it's very important that we have a really clear and public policy about how we're going to function in those caretaker periods. There's nothing really new here. It's just a aligning with the new standards that the state is developing. So it makes it easy if you are aspiring to run for council. You know what your responsibilities are, and it's in the public domain. It also makes it clear to the staff and the executive what the role is during that caretaker period. So, thanks to the staff for putting this together and for presenting it. And I urge all councillors to support it.
Councillor Bruff? Anyone speaking against? No? That's the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 11-0.
CCS 742, establishment of Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee, expressions of interest process. The recommendation is that Council endorse the proposed expression of interest process for the recruitment of independent members to the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee, and secondly, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to proceed with the recruitment process, including public advertisement and preparation of induction materials. Someone to move that. Councillor Trail, Councillor McLaren. Councillor Trail.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is one of these things that when we discussed it at committee, I think we came to the conclusion that it's forced on us. And last night I actually chaired my last Audit and Risk Committee. It's going to, of course, change its name. And under the rules, the new legislation, we have to have an independent chair. So this is actually putting that in process. So we discussed the advisability, and I'd just like to mention to councillors the importance of this committee. It's going to change its name slightly. It's going to add improvement to its name. And I think Councillor Leonetti has actually expressed a desire to actually include all councillors, all elected members on that committee in future, because it really is a very important committee, and I think you'll agree. Yourself was there last night, and the items that we discussed really have great ramifications for us as a council. So we all really need to be a part of that. That's nothing to do with this motion, of course, but getting an independent chair is. I'm just hoping that the CEO is successful in recruiting a local member, a local resident to actually chair this committee, because in many cases I think we've heard that It's likely that a lot of these committees statewide will be run from Perth, another indication of metrocentrism, and people who maybe just become professional chairs who don't really have an investment in our city. So I'm really hopeful and praying that Mr. CEO, you have success in encouraging someone. We've got a lot of talented people around the community who I hope will actually put their hand up for this. So that's the backstory to this new committee. It's going to be a slight change in its outcome, and I think its terms of reference as well. So from all those points of view, we're moving maybe forward, but we're moving nonetheless. So I think we really need to support this. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor McLaren.
Yes, just briefly, this is one of those reforms that the newly elected government has been working on to strengthen the local government sector. And it remains to be seen how it's going to play out. But I think I would welcome the opportunity to have local chairs on this with skills to assist us. We don't always have the skills necessary. And we do have a lot of training. And I myself, as a councillor 2 years in, have learned quite a lot from being on the Audit and Risk Committee. And I would really encourage members to come to those meetings. They are very enlightening about the broad scale of what we do and also the risk that we incur. So I have found it very important to be on the Audit and Risk Committee. So I have felt, and I wanted to speak because I wanted to thank Councillor Trebb for his leadership in his role as chair for the time that I've been on there. I know he's approaching the end of his term. It might be the last Audit and Risk Committee that he chairs, because we're going to get an independent chair. So I think he's done a great job steering us through that. And it also gives the mayor an opportunity to participate fully in discussion when we have a chair who's not the mayor. So I think the fact that all of us can now participate in discussion with an independent chair may well mean that our decisions are scrutinized better. So it's a reform that we're hoping will benefit us, that we want skilled people to put their hand up. It's not very much money. But it is a public service that we will benefit from and that the local government will be stronger for, and we hope so. Please encourage your friends and expert colleagues who might be interested in being a good chair to put their hand up and nominate for this if this should pass tonight. But I encourage councillors to support it.
Anyone speaking against? Councillor Sutton.
No, thank you, Mayor. Quite pointless really speaking against it. I know it's a local government reform, but I think just it's another section of overreach. With our committee, we've got people that live and breathe the City of Albany and do the absolute best job. We get down the track, we get an independent person that doesn't live and breathe, perhaps doing it for the money. I don't see how that's going to work for our benefit. I thought a better model would have been the councils that aren't functioning particularly well financially should maybe try this system for a few months or 12 months, but don't label everyone in the same. We've got the big tick of approval for our financial management in the last couple of years, and we're held out as an example. Why punish us? We're losing a total of 4 councillors. Now we're going to have a person from outside sitting on the audit and risk. We get audited at least once a year, twice a year. So I don't think it should be across the board. I think it should be the ones that aren't behaving particularly well. Kalgoorlie is probably a good example at the minute then. Kilbarney. All right, thank you.
Just a point of clarification, Councillor Sutton, as much as I might agree with your sentiment, it is legislated and we don't have any choice. Does anyone want to speak for or against? No? Well, Councillor Trail, you have a right to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with you, Councillor Sutton. Like I agreed with Councillor Beaujeu, committee meeting, but as the Mayor says, it is legislated, so there isn't a lot of point in actually not going along with this. I think our efforts should really be, as Councillor McLaren said, is perhaps identifying and letting the CEO know perhaps of potential independent chairs that have got Albany's best interests at heart, because that's what we need, as Councillor Sutton says. We really would go backwards, I think, if we have an independent chair from Perth who's going to join us on a screen and not really have that investment. So I think we really need to pass this and move on, but let's hope for the best outcome and result for us down the track. Thank you.
Thank you. That closes debate. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against?
Carried 9-2 against Councillor Brough and Councillor McKinley.
DIS 446 amendment, AMD 003 amendment to local planning scheme number 2. I'm not going to read it all, I'll take it as read, but the committee recommendation is that the council, pursuant to regulation 50 in brackets 3 of the Planning and Development Local Planning Schemes Regulations 2015, resolves to support modifications, scheme amendment number 3 to the City of Albany Local Planning Scheme number 2 as follows. Rezone lots 895 and 1209 Wool Stores Place Mount Melville, lot 1104 on deposited plan 165964, lots 1156 and 1157 on deposited plan 171141 from light industry to urban development. Secondly, to rezone lot 50 on deposited plan 426285, lot 141 Wool Stores Place Mount Elphinstone, lot 44 on deposited plan 171141 and PIN 583843 from rural small holdings to urban development. And 3, to rezone a 3,787 square metre portion of lot 30 on deposited plan 408474 and lot 529 deposited plan 408473 from local road, Wool Stores Place, to urban development as notated on the scheme map. Rezone lot 1350 on deposited plan 184224 from drainage waterway reserve to urban development. 5, to delete RU8 from Schedule 3 Table 10 and 6, add row 69 to Schedule 7 Table 17 as follows. And that's where I'm going to stop and ask someone to move that. Consider the rest read. Deputy Mayor Terry. A seconder? Councillor Bajou. Deputy Mayor Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, we did have quite a bit of discussion about this at our DIS meeting, with some changes that are in red on the recommendation. I note the query from Mr. Phillips re the contaminated sites, but my understanding is that that will be dealt with through the structure plan process. And if WAPC have any issues, then they will get the proponent to address those. That's my, would that understanding be correct?
Are you looking for clarification?
Yeah.
All right, let's just stop the clock there. And so clarification.
Through Mr. Mayor. So the process as we see it is, so it's acknowledged, the applicants have acknowledged the fact that there's asbestos and uncontrolled full on site. The site's not officially listed, it's not officially put on a register of tour, but we know the materials are there. So it's acknowledged, and the recommendation from the Department of Health was specific that the rest of the processes, so that the scheme amendment reflects a requirement that the necessary reports and certification occurs afterwards. So typically this happens between structure planning and subdivision. So in order for you to get the subdivision approval, you must provide the appropriate certification to say that the site's been contaminated, the contamination has been removed, totally remediated, And just as an example, this is typically what's happening with some of the vacant pieces of land that's in well-located areas in Albany. There's some contamination, and it's the process of removing that contamination that's sort of stalled the development over time. So you can only they were more severe than just asbestos, so heavy metals, and so they were delayed more. It's not as complicated to remove asbestos. Not sure about the uncontrolled fill, how deep the contamination sits and things, but that's the next step. So once the scheme amendment's through and the structure plan is through, there's probably that certainty then for the developers to clean the site up, prepare it for subdivision, and it should be ready. Otherwise, you won't get that subdivision approval. Much.
Well, that's pretty clear.
Yep, thank you. I'm satisfied with that response, thank you. And I just hope that, because obviously when the draft scheme amendment went out for comment, the WAPC had that small amount of wording just in relation to the coastal protection thing, wasn't it? Or finished full, no, not fully finished full finished floor level. But so I hope that they don't take out all that other stuff that we've put in there, and we go back to square one. And also I hope that once this scheme amendment does get up to WAPC, that they progress with approving the structure plan quickly as well, so that Mr. Dyson can get on with things and do his contaminated site investigation, and so we get stuff happening. I urge everyone to support. Thank you.
Councillor Baju.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, with the revisions since the committee meeting have certainly added clarity to the intent of the modifications and go a long way towards addressing the shortcomings in the technical documents that support both this amendment and the structure plan. Importantly, it makes the position of local government really, really clear. As if planning wasn't confusing enough with the recent changes, what would logically be the preparation of a scheme amendment or rezoning and a structure plan's turned somewhat on its head. So we're now reliant on the detail that's in the structure plan, which is a bit the horse before the cart before the horse, sorry. And the importance of that structure plan is really going to be borne out into the future. As I said, the City of Albany's recommendations on this are on the public record through this forum. Decision making on this whole thing now actually sits with the Minister. Local government, we can make a recommendation. And as I said, our comments and our position on it is very clear, but the decision on the amendment and future use of the site clearly rests with the Minister. So we've done our bit. It's important that we support it on the next stage. And it would be great to see the site developed, taking into consideration all of the particular constraints, with coastal impacts, environmental, potentially contaminated sites, or I think we talk about ACM, asbestos containing material, and the onus clearly is on the future proponent, and all of that's very clearly laid out through this amendment. By putting it into a future urban zone or urban development zone, work can proceed.
Yeah, we'll speak against. Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mayor. I will be speaking against this amendment. I don't know if councillors had a chance to go through all the papers that were tabled that are associated with this, but I did take some time to do that. And I do take my job as a councillor very seriously, and especially when it relates to planning matters. I was the planning spokesperson in state parliament for some time and dealt with a lot of, half-finished structure plans. And so I don't have the confidence that the WAPC is going to complete the task that we set out for them. Yes, I was part of that support for advertising this for amendment, and I think it's important that we advertised it and we got a few really important submissions in relation to it. One of the ones that caught my interest was that there was neighboring land that also wanted to be rezoned as residential. And it would seem to me as orderly planning that if we're going to be doing this at this stage, that we do that for them as well. Now, I take the point that not all the studies that have been done in this area have not been done in that surrounding land, but, you know, why wouldn't we do that here? The other reason why I'm opposing this is the contaminated sites. I really support the redevelopment of a brown field. This is called, I know it as a brownfield industrial land, and redeveloping it, making it available for the community is a good thing. You know, however, we have to make sure that we do all the work that's required to make that happen. And the current zoning on it, under the Contaminated Sites Act, and one of these massive papers about this, many of the reports say that based on the information provided, the site appears suitable for proposed public open space and recreational land use, but may not be suitable for more sensitive land uses, e.g. residential housing or childcare centers. And therefore, the site is classified as remediated for restricted use. So that point was made up earlier, that right now the condition is that it can only be a restricted use. It is only through proper remediation where you can trust housing on there. So that's our job, is to rezone it to residential, and the work is not done. The work is not done to enable us to do that. And the officers have done the best they can by putting this forward, because we have statutory timeframes. You know, we have to meet those timeframes. And so they have to put it up to us for rezoning. The developer wants to get going. The problem is the work is not done. The WIPC has not done the structure plan and given it to us, so we can have confidence that people can live there and be safe. So the other thing I wanted to mention by opposing it is the threatened ecological communities that have been located there. And a lot of good work has been done to identify all the communities that are there. And I think, you know, that local environmental scientists will enjoy that work. However, there's still a concern about how they'll be relocated. And in some cases, they said it might be very difficult to relocate them before development occurs. So there are 73 fauna that were identified, taxa, species of fauna, and migratory birds. Lots of migratory birds use this area. It is a threatened ecological community called temperate and rainforest saltbush. So it is a very rare environment, and I hope that the developers do find a way to develop around the most sensitive areas and that we can protect them. The reports are clear. I won't have time in 4 minutes to list them all, but the Department of DOER has also put in a recommendation here about the Waterways Act, that licensing for provisions for activities which may impact the waterway, the harbor waterway, including construction, dredging, and reclamation, are also concerns. You know, I'm happy to discuss these further, but members, if you've not read these reports, you don't have the confidence to pass this at this point, and that's why I'm speaking against it.
Thank you. Someone want to speak for? Against? If not, Councillor Deputy Mayor Terry, you have right to reply.
As I said, spoke to this initially, first up. After the clarification from Mr. Vanamesh, need to take, I think we all need to take a bit of a leap of faith that the work will get done, and that that will be done as part of the structure plan and to the subdivision process. We have seen a couple of other sites around town that have been subject to contaminated sites, and they weren't actually able to proceed. Amity Keys was one of those. So I'll take on board a bit of what Councillor McLaren was saying, but I think we need to get on and get this moving along, and they will do what they need to do when they need to do it. It doesn't necessarily need to be done now. Thank you.
I close the debate and put that recommendation. All those in favour? Against?
Carried 10-1 against Councillor McLaren.
I'm going to move DIS 447 to the back of the agenda because, well, I'll ask first. Is anyone likely to want to go behind closed doors to discuss the confidential attachment? Okay, well, if that's the case, we'll move that to the back of the agenda. DIS 448, Planning and Building Reports. The recommendation is that the planning and building reports for July 2025 be received. Someone to move that. Councillor Sutton, Councillor Bijou. Councillor Sutton, Councillor Bijou. Anyone wish to speak against? No, put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 11-0.
LEMC 038, approve City of Albany Local Recovery Plan. The recommendation is that the City of Albany Recovery Plan be approved. Someone to move that? Councillor Bruff, seconder. Councillor McKinley. Councillor Bruff. Councillor McKinley. Anyone speaking against? No, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 11-0.
LEMC 039, receiving the minutes of the Local Emergency Management Committee meeting. The recommendation is that the confirmed minutes of the Local Emergency Management Committee meeting held on the 28th of November 2024 be received. Someone to move that? Councillor Bruff, Deputy Mayor Terry. Councillor Bruff, Deputy Mayor Terry. Anyone speaking against? Oh, put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 11-0.
Does anyone want to go behind closed doors for further discussion on the CEO performance review? Note that the CEO is leaving the chamber. So just to clarify, does anyone want to go behind closed doors to reference the annual appraisal report prepared by Learning Horizons? No? Okay. All right. The recommendation for PR 017 is that the council note that Mr. Andrew Sharp's annual performance review as the Chief Executive Officer of the City of Albany for the 2024-25 period has been completed in accordance with the City's adopted CEO performance review process policy and relevant legislative requirements. And 2, adopt the CEO performance review committee's recommendations, including the proposed key performance indicators for the 2025-26 review period as detailed in the confidential CEO annual appraisal report. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Grimmer, Councillor McLaren. Councillor Grimmer.
Yeah, just very quickly, the most important thing to me is looking to the future, making sure that we're in a very good state, the city at the moment, but I think the KPIs have been really well thought out. There were 2 or 3 things that I wanted to be focused on, and those have been included in the KPIs, so I think this is a very comprehensive report, and I'm very happy with the future direction we've provided for the CEO.
Councillor McLaren.
Yes, I think this is one of those things that is also subject to reform under the Local Government Act, and in future there'll be greater transparency. It'll be published on the website. I think this is it's really good to be able to chart how well the CEO is doing in delivering his job, and it is of the community's interest. And I think I thought it was a great report. I didn't get some of the things I asked for, but I'm going to keep asking. And I think that we are lucky to have Andrew Sharp as our CEO at the moment, and it's good that we're tracking how well he's doing.
Just a clarification on that point there, Mr. Gilfillan. The KPIs will be published in the annual report rather than being published on the website. Is that correct?
Currently, I'm not aware of the exact details of where they will be published, so it hasn't been tradition, but under reform it will be that the CEO KPIs become public, and I think will be reported against publicly.
Just for clarification, I think they'll be in the annual report. Anyone wishing to speak against? Yes,
Not
Deputy Mayor
speaking
Terry?
against, just clarification, because the KPI report is actually on the public website, so it's actually public.
Okay. I won't question that because you're probably right. Righto. Anyone speaking against? No? I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 11-0.
CEO back in, please. Mr. CEO, that item was carried unanimously. Congratulations, and thank you for your last year's work. Okay, we're going to close. Does someone want to move that we go behind closed doors, please? Councillor Sutton, Councillor Bruff. All those in favour?
Carried 11-0.
Okay. Thank you very much for your attendance.
So we're going back, Mr Mayor, we're going back on live stream shortly, so we'll be back.
Sure no one wants to come in. Okay. So DIS 447, proposed strategic land acquisition. The recommendation is that Council authorise the Chief Executive Officer to negotiate the potential acquisition of a strategically located rural property subject to satisfactory completion of due diligence, valuation and contract terms as outlined in the confidential briefing note. And secondly, approve the proposed budget reallocation as per item 12 in the attached confidential briefing note. Someone to move that. Councillor Sutton. Seconder? Councillor Leonetti. Councillor Sutton.
Look, just briefly, we've done all the discussion. I think this is so important for the future of Albany, and that's all I can say at the moment. Think about it.
Councillor Leonetti. Don't want to speak? Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Bruff.
Thanks very much, Mayor. Look, Council is not and should not be in the business of mining gravel. Extractive industries are complex and high risk, and they still sit well outside of Council's core competencies. When local government tries to play miner, we don't just stretch the role, we lose sight of it. We take on risks that ratepayers never signed up for, and we crowd out the very private sector that we all claim we support. We're told that this potential strategic acquisition is a hedge against rising gravel prices, but a hedge that may cost more and reduce flexibility and ties us up to a single source isn't really a hedge, it becomes a gilded cage. We're giving up the freedom to secure better deals in a changing market in exchange for something far less valuable. Control on paper, but not necessarily in practice. Yes, prices can rise, and we should stay alert to that. But I don't accept the creeping narrative of scarcity, the idea that the gravel will run out or be unobtainable. It simply doesn't hold up. And even if supply tightens, the smart response is not to step in and become extractor. It's to strengthen competition, diversify supply, and sharpen procurement. Markets adapt, whereas bureaucracies ossify. When Council moves into private sector territory, we send an unhelpful message that local operators are now competing with the publicly funded player. That doesn't stimulate innovation or investment, it deters, and it substitutes entrepreneurial risk with bureaucratic insulation. The financial case is also weak. Yes, contractors make margins, but those margins reflect the value of scale, experience and efficiency. When government tries to do it all in-house, the costs don't disappear, they just become harder to see, buried in overhead, red tape and missed opportunities. And we've seen this before. Remember the ratepayers managed forestry investment scheme with the Blue Gums. On paper, we were shrewd investors until harvest day, when we learned that we were only foresters in our imagination. The lesson still stands. Stray too far from our mandate and the ratepayer becomes a safety net. Now, I don't think Council's job is to run quarries. Our job is to build roads, steward ratepayer funds and deliver reliable infrastructure. If we lose sight of that, what's next? We'll run a dairy to supply milk for morning tea, or a fleet of council-run taxis when Uber's got a winter surcharge. Look, governments that forget their limits soon forget their purpose. The prudent, accountable path is to leave gravel extraction to those who do it best and to focus on ensuring we use it wisely. For those reasons, I can't support this motion.
Thank you. Someone wish to speak for? Deputy Mayor Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think, if I recall correctly, when we discussed this at DIS, and Councillor Bruff, your excuse, I don't think you were here, but there was a question asked about gravel operations, like especially at Lake Warburton, and if we were to purchase this property or any other property, I asked the question about, well, do we need to purchase any more plant and equipment to extract the gravel? The response from staff was that no, we'd contract that out, someone to push it up and all that. Just wanted clarification. Is that my recollection correct? Yep, sometimes I'm getting nods there. So we're not competing with private operators in extracting the actual gravel. We will be contracting ADs or whoever to do that work, which is what they're doing at the moment. The cost saving is having that surety of supply and having it in a good location. With the figures that have come through with the value of that resource, locks that in, and we have surety on that. And in the long run, I'm quite certain that we'd save ratepayers money, and we'd get a much better outcome. I think Councillor Sutton talked at the committee also about the cost, and we talked about it tonight, about the cost of transporting it from Warburton or anywhere else from the east over to the west is $15 per cubic metre. That's another cost that we won't have to impose on ratepayers to build their roads, and we know how much more costs are to do resheets and to seal gravel roads. So I think in the long run it is a win-win for the city, for ratepayers and the residents in the western half of the city. So urge all to support. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone else wish to speak for? Councillor Baiju.
I think it's important to recognise that local government have been mining gravel out of sites. There's gravel pits, affectionately but inappropriately named borrow pits. There's a plethora of chunks of land throughout most local government areas where we have been taking gravel and other resources to build roads. So local government does have a history of being in mining when it comes to basic raw materials. I'm supportive of the proposal, but I would like to be reassured that we are, as a landowner of a gravel extraction site, that we get a report back on the volume of gravel that might be coming out of this land holding, the cost of rehabilitation, and so it's all those additional costs that we potentially as a landowner or land manager have versus if we were just buying the resource. So I'm not opposed to it, but I really would like to, and I do support the concept, just think that we do need to be completely transparent about our involvement in how we access the resource should we go ahead and be successful with this proposal.
Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor McLaren.
I just wanted to briefly add a couple of things. I support this because it's good, prudent use of our ratepayers' dollars. We're going to have to get gravel from somewhere, and to me, it's locally providing it, so it reduces the transport costs that we'll have. It reduces wear and tear on our roads, and these are all good things for our ratepayers. I am comforted by the knowledge that local councils have been in this business for a long time. There are lots of things we do as a council to deliver that the private sector could do. One of them is waste management. The provision of roads is an essential service, and to provide them at a good price with locally sourced materials is a prudent decision, and that's why I support it.
Anyone else? If not, Councillor Sutton, you've got right to reply.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, first of all, I think your general principle, Councillor Tom, is okay. If we were competing with our own mine gravel to the private sector on road construction, yes, I'd agree with you, but it's for our work. Now, in the last couple of years, since COVID, we've all been whinging in here of the ridiculous construction prices we've been receiving. So by doing this, we relieve that tension a fair bit. So I think that messes that argument up for you, Councillor Bruff. The other one you mentioned was Lake Warburton, where we were foresters. Well, we didn't buy that and I was on council at the time. We didn't buy that as a blue gum investment. We bought it as a gravel investment. Then we got a presentation from a forester who said we'll potentially get a bonus of $1 million or thereabouts. So it wasn't the intention to be a forester, so we didn't lose out. We've actually gained because we got our gravel, which we bought it for. So I think if the gravel's there and we can secure our supply, we can secure the prices to a degree, then we're on the right track. I think it's going to be a massive saving. As Councillor McLaren said, just that transport alone, the roads, but it's not only the road that we're on the roads and the trucks, but your replacement. If you're doing all those kilometres, comes up quicker, your services come up quicker, your tyres wear out quicker. There's a whole plethora of things that come up quicker when you're doing distance. It's called lead time in trucks, and it's a nightmare. That's the killer for most transport businesses, that lead time from A to B and getting back. Thank you.
Close this debate and put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against?
Sorry, Councillor Leonetti, I didn't see what. Oh, carried 9-2. Against Councillor Brough and Councillor McKinley.
That's the end of reports. There's no business of an urgent nature introduced by decision of council. There's no motions of which previous notice has been given. There's no reports of city officers, so I close the meeting to the public at